What's going on, everybody? It's Buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is your WWE ROADBLOCK 2025 preview, and that is Jake fucking DeMarCo. What's going on, buddy?
Holy hell, what a hell of a week you've had, I've had. I mean, everything.
We've evolved.
We have evolved, we've leveled up, and we have assumed the dominant position in the weekly war as well.
Pause.
So NXT has just been on another level, and viewership suffered throughout the week for everybody, surprisingly, especially Tuesday with the President's State of the Union address. I know that was actually one of the things that really, did draw viewers away.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there a thing as well, like there was 2 or 3 cities that just flat out weren't showing NXT at all?
Yes.
I'm not trying to make an excuse for a ratings conversation.
NXT
I'm just like, this is what I hear.
Still won with all those caveats as well, which was kind of funny. So I wonder what their rating would have been if they were at, normal capacity. But this week was still
full
a draw.
Power.
Yeah, because this wasn't like a week to skip or anything to miss. This was a very good week. So, the Hardys have been a lot of fun to have back in the swing of things. That's been enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And we just have Roadblock on the horizon. Of course, everything's building towards Stand and Deliver.
Oi, oi, oi.
Exactly. We got Impact Live tonight, building towards Sacrifice.
Is it live tonight?
Well, the tape show, but yes.
Oh, okay.
We got Obafemi and Moose going face-to-face before Roadblock. We got Matt and Jeff Hardy versus the Colognes. Mike Santana against John Schuyler. You got, let's see, who else? You got the Rascals and Ace Austin taking on the Northern Armory. And
yeah, because there's a massive, I know we're looking ahead a bit because we're going to talk about Sacrifice next week, but there's a massive 10-person tag on that card that's Joe Hendry, Matt Hardy, Elijah, Leon Slater, and Nick Nemeth taking on the System and the Colognes.
Yeah.
So massive. Unfortunately, the System is very much still a thing. We're going to talk about more Sacrifice stuff next week, so you guys are going to have to tune back in. But I think not any direct flow from this show to that show, but as I said to you off air, you got 2 crossover shows happening more or less the same week. You've got a TNA B show and an NXT elevated episode, which is neither company doing their best in a pay-per-view capacity, but it's the one step down for both brands, and they're crossing over on both sides. Lots of stuff to talk about on that Sacrifice card next week. But
I love that AEW just, it seemingly can't keep up at this point. They bragged for so long, and yet they didn't have a presidential address. They, what is the excuse that we're going to hear this time from Meltzer about why they were beaten?
The thing about the some of the TV being time shifted to the following day because of the presidential address. 2 or 3 demographics in the States were playing NXT on Wednesday, and that's why their number was so low. I don't even know what their number is. I don't care anymore. But it's like, that's like, wasn't it like 2 or 3 districts in the whole country? You would probably know better than me.
Yeah.
But really? You got beaten because of a replay of WWE's developmental brand on your A show.
Ouch. And their Tuesday viewership was at 698, so... And like you said, 3 major markets due to the affiliates opting to air the presidential speech only. So, crazy.
I mean, that shit happens. I mean, that's why everybody's moving to streaming. I will say, the one thing I did hear about earlier today, I didn't watch all of Dynamite, but the fact that they're now putting their pay-per-views on Amazon is an interesting growth thing for them.
It is...
I mean, I don't know what it's going to do.
Take.
I don't know what it's going to do for them, but they're making inroads with another big platform other than just doing it on Triller. Like Triller, I would say the same thing for Netflix. Like Triller is where you go if you're already a wrestling fan because that's where the wrestling is.
Yeah.
There's people on Amazon,
but I guess people that
Netflix.
Don't know Triller, it's not as widely known as like an Amazon platform is.
Well, this
so
is the thing. Like
there.
People that don't watch wrestling go to Netflix. That was the argument that the statement that we were making the whole time. Somebody's going to go on to catch the next episode of like Seinfeld or whatever, and there's wrestling. If they're going to have a similar sort of pickup style on the Amazon side, for all the shit that I talk about AEW, that's a pretty decent get for them.
Absolutely.
If
it makes any difference, I'm curious. We'll have to see if it actually fares any better for them. But
now, if they could actually make the show good, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to plug you twice. Pause.
Ooh.
last night, you and I got on to talk about the first episode of WWE Evolve. We talked about my weekend at Elimination Chamber as well. That was a really fun stream. They can go check it out on your channel right now. I will be uploading the audio probably side by side with this pod right now. As well, we will be, all things being equal, up on your channel once again, countdown ended, to respond to whatever happens at this pay-per-view that's coming up Sunday that I don't have very high hopes for, but we'll be talking about it for a little bit.
Going nuts to see, and as you said as well, it's just not a very pay-per-view feel for AEW at this point. I know they were having Ricochet say JD's a fool, but he's not wrong. The interest is not there.
Here's the thing, nobody's gonna stand up and defend JD because he is pretty much a cockwobble, right? But
exactly.
Again, it's like AEW doing the Prime thing. Like, I might not agree with you, but if you've done something that I agree with, I will agree with your point. Got to be careful because you get guilt by association in the IWC. That's why we join the WFU instead.
Exactly.
Now, before we get into the Roadblock card, I told you very specifically there's one news piece that we are going to avoid because I'm going on a rant this weekend at some point, and I'm probably going to make all kinds of friends.
Very excited to see how that turns
out. Separately, though.
Cannot wait. My notifications are on and ready.
Another piece of news coming up in May that is going to make for a very loaded weekend for me.
Yes.
Now, for people that don't know, up here in Canada, we have what's called May 2-4 weekend, but the actual holiday day is falling on Monday the 19th. So the weekend after that, I've already spoken for Friday and Saturday because I'm going to back-to-back TNA tapings that are actually happening in Brampton. Now, I have to say this because it's fun. Normally, I live in Brampton, which is near Mississauga, which is near Toronto, if you know anything about the geography there. A lot of people seem to know where Mississauga is. I'm just next to Mississauga. Right?
Gotcha.
So when I say wrestling's coming to town, primarily I'm saying I'm going to Toronto to see a show.
Yes, usually.
Occasionally, hey, I'm going to Mississauga, there's a house show, there's a Destiny show. Actually, pause for a second. Shout out to Destiny and Emilio Albi, who's running Destiny right now, who put out a message earlier today. All shows for Destiny for the rest of 2025 have been scrapped because he's having a hard time. They've had some losses in their family, plus he's having some medical stuff that, let's not dig into it.
So the planned big show coming up is not happening.
Yeah, so it's off the table, and for the foreseeable, like, Destiny's not shutting its doors, but he's taken time for himself. He came out earlier today on social media
can't argue with that. Yeah,
to let all the fans
works out
know.
well for him.
So, not that he's probably listening to this, but shout out to Emilio, shout out to everybody involved in Destiny in general. They put on some really fun shows. If you're in the GTA area, when they get back up and running, I really do suggest you guys go check out a Destiny show if you're in our geographical area. But getting back to my initial point,
yes,
like I say, wrestling's coming to town, it means Toronto. Wrestling's coming to town, it means I'm going to Mississauga. TNA is actually doing their tapings in Brampton.
Yeah, like...
So, like,
hometown.
actually in town. So I look at the poster that they put up for the event posting, right? And I look at Brampton, and it doesn't look right on the page. But also, the silhouette that they use in the background of the graphic is still the silhouette of Toronto.
Yeah.
Made very obvious by both the Skydome and the CN Tower, right? So it's like, even in the listing, it's like Brampton, near Toronto. It's like anybody that goes to concerts in Toronto knows what it's like to look up the Sound Academy, formerly the Docks.
I got you.
It's one of those kind of things. So, anyways, why this gets really, really loaded is I'm going to those tapings Friday and Saturday. I think they're taping 3 shows in entirety there.
Yeah, all the way through.
Now, this announcement coming from... I'm getting it from No DQ, who got it from Sportskeeda's WrestleVotes radio show.
Okay.
The same weekend, this is a Saturday Night's Main Event announcement and a NXT announcement.
Yes.
That Saturday, May 24th, is the next, what do you want to call it, Saturday Night's Main Event in Florida.
Ooh.
And then the next night in Florida on the 25th is WWE NXT, whatever they're going to say, Battleground.
Oh, wow. So they're returning that show after Stand and Deliver.
And then they're going to Monday Night Raw as well. So they're going to do Saturday night's main event and then Battleground and then Monday Night Raw, right?
Wow.
Because they've been pairing up most of the NXT shows with
that's going to be a stacked weekend indeed.
So here's my thing though. I'm going to the TNA tapings both days. I'm coming home from the second set of TNA tapings to catch up on Saturday night's main event. So unfortunately, if Jake's doing a live stream that night, I won't be with him for that because I won't have watched it yet. I'll be watching probably...
You can give your honest review of nothing.
I'm watching Battleground on Sunday. We'll probably do a live stream for that instead.
That will definitely be live for. I don't know about Saturday night's main event. They've been good, but they've been glorified house shows.
I was going to say
if it seems like there's going to be something that's going to be newsworthy on it, or there ends up being something like projected to be major, then I'm sure we'll cover it. But more than likely, we'll cover the last two.
With there being a show the following night, if something happens on Saturday night's main event, we can cover it the next night anyway.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like unless it's like oh my god, another major heel turn or something massive happens, which I'm highly doubting. Then
Kenny Omega showed up to attack Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
they've taken their beef from X to real life.
Oh my God, Will Ospreay's punching Triple H in the mouth. It's on.
With this new attack on Seth Rollins, are Kenny Omega and CM Punk finally on the same page? No, they're not.
Ospreay giving Triple H the heart punch. My God.
Oh.
He's trying to kill him.
You know what the sad thing is? And I don't even mean this as a dig at Will Ospreay because I like Will Ospreay. There's a good handful of people that I want him to face in NXT. I'm not saying he would be an NXT guy, but Will Ospreay versus Wes Lee, Will Ospreay versus Javon Evans.
Does it not make it better hearing that Stephanie chose to go to NXT?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something about that really excited me. Like, oh, hey, you wanted to ingratiate yourself with the fans. Like, people knew you, but if you went right to the main roster, you were going to be a small fish in a big pond.
And she admitted that being in NXT and having such support around her is helping her with her English and whatnot.
Exactly, because her promos have only gotten better and better.
The little bit of promo that her and Julia have done for two people whose primary language isn't English. Like, let's just throw it all on the table here.
They're doing better than Io and Kairi Sane was one that I really like. Asuka, I have a hard time with her at some points, but Kairi, I really struggled to understand. So I give everybody credit that takes time to try and learn the language and do what they can. You know?
Are you ready? Are you ready for the punchline on all this though? 23rd, I'll be at a TNA taping. 24th, I'll be at a TNA taping, coming back, catching up on Saturday night's main event. And then Sunday, the big main event will be Battleground. You and I will talk about it. It'll be fantastic. You know what else is happening on the 25th of May?
What's that?
Double or Nothing.
Really? Oh, wow.
It's going to be the Sunday Night War.
Yeah, I mean...
It's going to be the Sunday Night War.
We'll definitely be watching NXT, but we'll make note of what's going on for Double or Nothing. I'm sure we'll pay attention to what happens, as we
I'm
usually
sure somebody else will be
it.
watching it and will really, really care a whole bunch. I just thought... Like,
if there's anything notable, you and I always try and know what's going on in the wrestling world. We do watch AEW at times, but we're just not emphatically forced to watch live. There's not anything that's making you or I be like, oh, I have to tune in and see this right now.
Well, as I said as well, when we reviewed the first episode of Evolve, and long story short, it was basically what we thought it was going to be, a little bit of disposable content for those people that want to watch it, right? But I do think it's kind of funny for us to say, all right, the Wednesday Night Wars are on again.
Oh, it's very disingenuous, but it's hilarious at the same time. And what I mark out for, as I said to you, is like when things make sense. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, you saw firsthand.
I did.
Yes, there wasn't blood, but they were beating the living piss out of each other. They were destroying each other.
Barbed wire chair.
The barbed wire chair. Like everything
Double table
did,
spot.
It made sense and it worked. They didn't bring in anything that couldn't have worked. As where you have Ricochet and Swerve attempting to mutilate each other with scissors, but you see them holding it in such a way that they're not even getting the tip of the scissors out, like it's perfectly protected.
They're
like
scissoring more than a lesbian couple.
Yeah, have the tip of the scissors shown.
Okay, here's
so
the thing.
you strike him in the
We're not
head.
gonna go
Come
on a huge AEW thing, right?
No, but I
How are
want
these
this to
two
be-
guys fighting over scissors when you just had a tag team break up where their whole thing was scissor me daddy ass?
You made the point that I was going to make. I mean, I was going to say, talk about Max Caster's fall from grace and how he's had everything stolen from him. You know, he's lost his tag team partner, he lost his titles, lost Billy Gunn, and now he went ahead and he lost his freaking gimmick.
Because I want to watch the world burn, I hope Max Caster comes to WWE eventually.
I could see him working very well in NXT. Honest to God,
course,
not being not just because everybody does. No, that character, the Max Caster,
there's stuff
all
that
of it.
We've talked about it all the time with
in
NXT. There's stuff that works because it's in same thing with TNA. TNA had the whole like Rosemary and the Undead Realm and shit like that, which is right up my street. But you couldn't really move that over into WWE. It exists in TNA because it works there. There's a lot of gimmicks in NXT, like we've always said, like Andre Chase and the Tony D'Angelo family. They're cornerstones of NXT, but would they work on the main roster? Probably not. Like, I'm just saying, like, I want these people to all succeed, and I want them to reach wherever they want to reach in their careers, so I don't want to, like, stifle anybody.
Yeah.
But, like, how does Chase U work on Raw?
There's a lot of things that just don't work, and you know it as well as I do,
Actually,
and it's not a negative.
You know what I didn't notice? I'm reading the news story that I just read you. I didn't notice that the second half of the news story is the natural disasters are going into the Hall of Fame.
Yes. So
I think that's pretty cool. It's from a time when I wasn't watching, but it's one of those, like, they obviously have an impact, and cool. There hasn't been, maybe you've heard something different. There hasn't been much talk about the Hall of Fame itself. Like we're getting the inductees, but as far as like the actual planning, scheduling, programming, and whatever, because apparently everybody across the board, from production to wrestlers to the people being inducted, they all hate that like after SmackDown.
Yeah,
time.
No one likes the timing of it. They don't like the placement of it and how it's worked previously. So I don't blame them either, because you have to go and delegate maybe so much time. You can't leave. If you're a WWE superstar, you have to be there for all of it. And you're not trying to be rude, but it's like, hey, I've got so much to do this weekend to worry about, and I already have Mania matches and press and appearances and this and that and this and that.
Tell me if you think this is crazy, though, right? Like, don't do it on SmackDown, because people that bought tickets to SmackDown bought tickets for SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
I don't know whether they've done, like, surveying or whatever the case may be, and they don't think they can sell tickets to just a Hall of Fame. But they've proven with Stand and Deliver that people will come to a midday show. Like,
yes,
so if you do like Saturday midday is the NXT show and Sunday midday is the Hall of Fame thing,
I think people would go for it.
I think that's a pretty cool thing. Now, the only thing is because I think last year they brought some of the Hall of Famers out on night one and some of them out on night two. Maybe you would push them all to the second night, but that's not really that big a change.
I honestly don't even recall anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. It's been such a blur at this point.
And people are mad that Triple H is going in, and I just laugh at them. Anyways,
he deserves to go in for himself.
Of course he
does.
You know,
DX was only together for like a year and a half, and people remember it as this big to-do thing, but that's not what it was.
But
it
you
was
forget what he's done before that
quick.
as well, when he was the Connecticut Blue Blood, like Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
But they're not honoring anything to do with him but DX, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like, of course he deserves to go in. There's so much more to him than just his DX years.
I don't really blame that in the sense of that's what he was most known for, and then you get like the cerebral assassin side of it, where a lot of it is like killing people with sledgehammers and shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hope they reach back a little. Like, obviously, I would be surprised if Orton, Batista, Ric Flair aren't involved. Maybe like a triple induction, triple introducer person.
Yeah.
But you've got that, but you've also got the Evolution thing, but then Evolution spawned off into Legacy when Randy Orton went off on his own and then created his own faction, and then we got Cody Rhodes. Don't necessarily think we're going to get $1 Million Man's kid there, but there's 10 degrees of separation from Ric Flair to Triple H to Randy Orton to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, certainly.
You know what I mean? And actually, it would be interesting, and it would be a little bit of a stretch, but imagine Cody Rhodes inducting Triple H.
That's what I'm saying. There's certain
because
ways
Triple
to do
H
it.
is righting the ship right now, and who's the main player on his board?
Cody.
Yeah. Like, as much as I would love to say that it's Punk, and I think that moment is going to come.
Yes.
Like,
it's
pause,
not right now.
But like their hood ornament right now is Cody Rhodes.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
even if I still couldn't stand the guy, which is no longer the case anyways, I would still have to admit that because I'm not delusional.
Exactly. You know what's true. What's
I just
and
caught
what's
the
real.
Hall of Fame announcement at the bottom there. But yeah, Roadblock. How is this not a pay-per-view?
I don't know. This is stacked from top to bottom, and I'm blown away that this is bigger than Vengeance Day, but still just a weekly NXT show.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be treated like more than an NXT. Like I overuse.
No doubt. But I'm saying it is still just. It's not a PLE. Yeah. It's not a pay-per-view. Yeah. It's not any of that. Yeah. It's just there, and it's like holy hell, this is.
Well, we forget that the first couple of takeovers still took place on like when it was still in the Full Sail, mind you.
Yes.
But the first couple of takeovers were episodes of NXT. That
they were.
Ballooned up to 2 hours and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you got to believe they're going to treat this like a pay-per-view. I mean, like with the Madison Square Garden Association, like yes, it's the theater at Madison Square Garden, but fuck off. It's NXT at MSG.
Exactly. That's what it is. We know it.
It's going to be treated with an appropriate amount of reverence due to that.
They're working with NWA soon, and Natalia's going to be there at the 2300. Like that's another big thing going on. So it's not just TNA. It's not just, you know what I mean? Like there's layers and levels to all of this.
Look what they're doing with Noah and Bloodsport and
that's my point. Like they're everywhere right now. They really are acting and being global. You know, they finally hit that global market, and it's making sense.
Yep. And like we say it a million times, there's a million things to say about Vince being pushed out of the company, but here's one of those things where, yeah, even if I was going to wave the flag for Vince, he would have never done this.
No, and Vince certainly wouldn't have turned John heel. He was against it because he didn't want to see John do anything that was damaging the character that he created. And he's not wrong, because he spent all that time building that one character, and he needed him because there was no other faces that could sell the merch and sell the tickets.
Yeah,
and
imagine having more than one character that's over.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a dickhead, right?
No, but that's the truth at this point. That's what you're saying. And
but it is true, and I've had this conversation with other people as well, because I'm going to try and say this as nicely as I can, because AEW is where it is right now, right? I think WWE's closest competition, its closest comparison point, is old WWE.
Yes.
So it's not really much. It's not really much to say you outdid AEW, because they're in a down spot right now, to be nice about it. But to say, hey, we just doubled over, like WrestleMania 41 just doubled over WrestleMania 40, is going to be the bigger thing. Oh, Elimination Chamber is now a stadium show.
Yeah.
We're going back to Australia, by the way, to show people how to do shows.
We're going to sell out, an actual
I'm a dickhead,
arena.
it's fine.
Not, yeah.
But yeah, with the like, it is an elevated episode of NXT, which is the phrase that I overuse quite a bit.
But it's the truth. That's what it is.
But it's the association with Madison Square Garden, which is always going to be considered hallowed ground for wrestling, period, let alone WWE. And it's the biggest platform we've had so far for the NXT TNA cooperative arrangement,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And it's going to be the first time where we've got an NXT big show and a TNA big show in such close proximity, where the
that
NXT
they intersect,
where the NXT show is first.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Like what was it when Zachary Wentz was about to face Wes Lee, so they put the X Division title on him at the TNA show, and then there was another one that was quite similar. I think this is the first one where, I don't know if you want to see it this way or not, but like where it's NXT teeing up TNA, not the other way around. So we'll see how that dynamic works. There's obviously a lot of crossover with the Sacrifice show we're going to talk about next week as well.
Exactly.
But doesn't mean that there's not pure NXT on NXT violence as well. Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez is going to die.
Yeah, I mean, Jordynne Grace just killed Cora Jade, essentially. I mean, close enough, right?
Yeah, you hate to see it. You love to see the response, though.
Online, she said she popped her titty. You know, she went and did not hold back. I'm glad that Cora's okay and just got rocked for a minute and everything's fine. But like we said, that's a great way to tell the story to it now. Hey, I took your friend out, you know, your former friend that you're no longer aligned with. I whipped their ass in seconds. What are you going to do about it? You know,
sooner or later
we're chance against me.
Before Roxanne goes up to the main roster, which is like almost becoming a punchline at this point because it's so overdue.
Yes,
we're going to get Roxanne and Cora versus Jordan and Masha in a tag match at some point, aren't we?
It kind of feels like it. And even
if it's just on a regular episode of something,
yeah, even when they're not teaming up, it feels like it needs to happen as a team up.
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy that says, "Oh, they're good, bring them over to NXT. They're good, bring them over to WWE. Let's house everybody." But Masha Slamovich on a huge stage would be pretty special.
Would be epic.
And
she deserves that spotlight. And seeing her in the NXT audience was cool too.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've done it a couple of times now, and she's got that menacing thing of her of like all she's doing is sitting there, but is that all she's doing?
Exactly, and you expect her to speak like this perfect Russian accent.
Almost. Oh, and then she just dropped it. Like a couple of months ago, she just dropped it completely.
And now she doesn't have it anymore, and she just now is talking.
She pulled a Kofi Kingston.
Like, yeah,
aren't you supposed to be Jamaican?
Yeah, exactly. But
I
think it works better for her.
Of course, yeah.
But it's less of a put off from fans.
Well, before it was like, I hate to say it, but like that old
kind
like James Bond villain type of, not villain, but like if you can't understand somebody,
Lana
if
and Rusev-esque, yeah.
No, but there's certain accents out there that make you sound tougher, that make you sound harder, that make you sound more intimidating. Absolutely. And even when she was speaking with the accent, she's still a pretty damn good speaker.
Milo agrees. She is a damn good speaker, and that's
if Killer Kelly, I don't know what her status is. I know she went and she's doing family building stuff. But if she comes back and they get back together as MK Ultra, man,
could be great.
Put them up against Raquel and Liv tomorrow.
There's so much they can do with that, honestly, and that's the thing. So,
but Roxanne's going to the main roster. I expect her to make a.
She'll get her swan song
at
Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. She'll get her moment, I think, to shine then. But it's not going to come kind of like a moment too soon. She's been putting everybody over.
I think we talked about this yesterday, I think, but if she gets a good rivalry going with like the Bayley thing's already kind of happening, but they've also teased
that seems like it's happening at Mania more than likely.
They've also teased her and Alexa. I could see them saying this is her farewell to NXT and then opening up Stand and Deliver to people that are going to be there for the year rolling forward. But if she gets a send-off on the bigger NXT stage and then wrestles at WrestleMania as well, that's a hell of a foot in the door onto the main roster officially.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Either way, I just don't know who I would put her up against at Stand and Deliver because I would say if she was going to be at Stand and Deliver, do this match there.
Yeah, this is kind of like the big send-off because I still think we're getting a triple threat at Stand and Deliver. Maybe. I mean, it depends on Julia, but...
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second as well, but... Pretty safe to say Jordynne Grace has made her arrival. She likes joking about her tits online. It's hilarious.
It's great.
But every time she's got a fight where she's in street clothes, immediately on Twitter there's going to be something about had to work real hard to keep the twins in line. That's why you got away from me. And it's one of those like it's hilarious, but also you're not going to laugh at Jordynne Grace because she'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she uses her own husband as a step stool, but we don't need to go there.
No, we don't.
I don't need. And everybody's like, "Oh, maybe she's going to convince Jonathan Gresham to come over," and I'm like,
"No."
With every intended respect, the guy's a fantastic wrestler. I don't need to see Jonathan Gresham in WWE.
I've never been a fan of his. Never cared for the guy. Never cared for his shtick, rhetoric, any of it.
Yeah, I don't get the octopus thing, and they really played it up on TNA for a while. Bell to bell,
it never worked for me. Yeah. He's not a bad worker either.
I was going to say, bell to bell, technically he's great, but there's a reason why that alone doesn't. I've seen him wrestle live. I've seen him wrestle at Destiny.
I have as well.
But I've seen him wrestle at Destiny on a card that Jordynne Grace was also on. And
she kind of always outshined him, and she was the heavier set gal, and he was kind of like the bigger deal for a while.
Oh, if you see pictures of her when she signed with TNA to now,
I know to now,
it's not the same person.
No, it's like my wife.
Again,
night and
like
day
we're not
difference.
trying to make things all like visual only because that's not
No,
cool.
but visuals
But like,
do matter, especially when you're talking about that drastic of a change in somebody.
but it's more of a visualization of
The first
of
person
hard
ate
work
the
and all that.
second person.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, we're not
pretty
being
much.
mean here. But she said this herself.
Because she wasn't hard to look at before.
No, she wasn't. But
Death by snoo now.
yeah, absolutely, she'll choke you to death.
The funniest thing in the world, because Destiny comes up with some pretty fucked up chants every now and then. They chanted booster seat at him
That's great.
at a Destiny show.
That's why I appreciate Destiny and what they bring, because it is like this little tight knit in a way, like not exclusive, not exclusionary either, but tight knit. Like you guys are all in on it, and just they're there to be entertained.
Yeah. And like as I said, like once again, I got to reiterate, shout out to Emilio. Hope he's getting all his stuff sorted out. Like the guy
Yeah, I hope he gets all his ducks in a row, because that's sad to hear that they can't have that awesome show with Bishop
I'm
Dyer.
sure it'll come back. I'm sure it'll come
I know
back
they
next
will,
year,
but-
bigger, badder, better, and all that kind of thing, right? But he took over Destiny from George Iceman, who's now playing the role with Dana Brooke on TNA and whatever. Iceman was really good about just like wandering about, like he's doing a million things. He's putting on a show, but also he's like wandering around the crowd, recognizing people. Like I shot the shit with him quite a bit. When they did the last Impact pay-per-view before they went back to being TNA again, they did it at the Don Kolov, which is the home of Destiny.
Yeah,
And the
you were
entire
saying.
main event, it was like Zack Sabre Jr. and I think it was Zack Sabre Jr. and Josh Alexander versus the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh, okay. So,
I'm pretty sure.
Pure magic.
Pure magic, but also here's George Iceman, who runs Destiny at the time. He hadn't handed it over yet, and we're just shooting the shit and doing like our own mini commentary in row one while this match is going on. I'm like, that's pretty chill. And then Emilio took over, and Emilio's that guy that's like, he sees you bought a ticket online, and he messages you on like Facebook to be like, hey, I saw you grab the ticket,
Yeah, glad to have you coming.
Thanks for coming back out. Did you get the ticket? Was there any problems? Like
Did you enjoy
right in there
yourself?
with the
Yeah.
with the people. Really, really cool dude. And obviously all the shittiest things happen to the best people.
Oh,
so
of course.
I
And
can't say enough.
unfortunate.
Shout out to Emilio. Shout out to all the people involved in Destiny. And one more time, shout out to my good co-host here. Go check out Jake DeMarco over on his channel Countdown Ended, where we will be live streaming after whatever AEW does this weekend coming up. I'm sure I will not be opinionated at all.
And thank you, my friend, for the shout out as always. Yeah, we've had a rotating cast of characters.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited for Mania. Everybody's been having a great time. And this John Cena turn has just been a wrestling glue in a way. Like it's pulled people back in a way that I haven't seen in ages, really since the Attitude Era.
One of the
I've seen
things
so
that I
many
forgot
lapsed
to
fans
say-
come back.
One of the things I forgot to say last night when we were talking about Elimination Chamber is one of the arguments that I've heard about the John Cena heel turn is, oh, that's the kind of thing you do when the audience is starting to drop off, when the attention is starting to drop off. That's when you pull out a big gun like that. I'm like, or you could pull out a big gun like that while you still have everybody
Exactly,
and make
while
the
the
fans
audience
feel
is hot
appreciated.
and-
Like I get
yeah.
it. Like if you've got a downturn.
That was kind of the necessity of Austin turning, no? It felt like that needed to happen.
Yeah, but
because
instead that
of-
shot them in the dick.
That's
Like-
what I'm saying. Like they felt like that was a needed change because they didn't have enough bad guys. And hey, we're going to do this. This is our plan. Rock's going to Hollywood. This is what
they
we're gonna do.
thought apparently they thought they didn't have enough over people, so they took the one over guy they had and turned him heel. That's brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. Never made sense. But
Anyways, speaking of great heels, transition, but not really. Ethan Page taking on Javon Evans. I think this is round 3 for them. New York City street fight at MSG.
just to clarify, we both think that Jordan's losing or Jordan's winning, right? She's
Oh
beating
yeah.
Roxanne. Yeah.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Roxanne's gonna die. I started the conversation with that.
I know you said that. I just want to make sure we clarify. Sometimes people are.
And it's not like Jordan Grace needs somebody to make her look good.
No,
but Roxanne
certainly not.
Perez really does make people look good.
She always whoever she works with, they look so over and excellent. Oh.
Seeing her in the Elimination Chamber was one of those like not in an underdog way, but she went in there wrestling like somebody who was pissed off that they were so small, but
Yes.
also pissed off that anybody would look at her as being small.
And very confident. Yes, indeed.
And she's I can't put my finger on what it is. She's different when you see her live. Like
she really
the
is.
dynamic nature of what she does in the ring and whatever. And maybe
Cameras
it's just,
do such heavy lifting too. She
oh
looks
yeah,
so much different in person because she is that small. So it's like even more impressive. It's like, holy shit, she's this agile and this great. And
it
this...
is kind of why I would like to see her mix it up with Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss isn't tiny, but like
5 feet of fury herself, you know.
But Bayley and Roxanne, I love Bayley. I
Yeah.
want them to do everything with Bayley, right?
Absolutely.
But you really are reinforcing that whole, like, don't treat her like a shorty G, like, and I'm not typecasting here, but like have her go on a run with Zelina Vega, who's just moved to SmackDown, who's got this new reinvigorated push behind her, because you could tell a really cool story of somebody who just showed up on SmackDown and somebody who's just starting to get some weight behind their push again.
Yeah, someone who's just starting off and really could make a difference about something.
Speaking of people that aren't that big, I'm going to bring it back to the street fight. Javon Evans ain't that big, but he's got a heart that's as big as the whole fucking room. I'm being cheesy.
He's lost twice, so can he lose here is the question.
I think he's going to win. He's got to win here. I think they're going to do the thing where, like, you know, somebody's got a bum leg and that bum leg costs them 2 matches, and then like somebody they go and attack the leg a third time and he just pushes through and says, "Fuck you, I'm going to beat you with my beaten leg." If they can tell a similar story like that with his jaw, because he's going to have a mouthpiece or whatever.
Yeah, there's going to be something there, and even if his jaw gets busted, as long as he wins, like you're saying, that's what's up. It makes him look even stronger. So
imagine him like winning and like his mouth is bloody again or whatever. You're not going to beat the first time when they did that big blood spatter moment in the middle of the ring there. But
that
if you could have
some
sort of thing where this is the guy that's such a good guy, and you have like an angry good guy is like, I'm a good guy. Why aren't you a fucking good guy? We could all be good people. Like, you can get that very specific good guy anger out of him, but imagine him ranting on Ethan Page after he's finally beaten him. Like, why did you make me do this? Type thing. With a bloody mouth, so it's spitting and spraying and like vitriol and emotion and catharsis of the final victory and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want that for Javon Evans.
I would love to see that.
In a weird way, I want that for Ethan Page as well. Because being a shithead heel like he is, and he's good at it, that character gets tested while you're receiving your comeuppance.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like one of those, is he Triple H, like peak a cerebral assassin, or is he The Miz? And when he finally gets beaten, is it just funny? Like, there's those two sides of the spectrum. And there's room. I'm a big Miz guy. We all know this. But not everybody needs to be The Miz.
No, certainly not. That doesn't... All roads don't lead to The Miz being the best idea. Sorry.
Now, you could have a worse career than The Miz, though. Like, to be fair.
Oh, certainly. No doubt about it.
But not everybody wants
to be...
not
the worst person to be, but it
also,
you need to evolve.
He balances comedy with being a comedic foil with being an actual shithead. And I don't think anybody else quite has the balance like he has.
That's why there was so much intrigue and interest in him going and being with Karrion. I thought there was a lot more of a story to tell there, and I think because the group got let go, it just is how it is.
I think we're going to get Karrion and Alistair, but that's another conversation for another day.
They're really doing that whole, hey, he's the devil on your shoulder type thing. They're sticking with it, so...
It's funny because we know that a couple more people got out of Guantanamo Bay in the past couple of days.
Yes.
So immediately the assumption is that Phoenix is going to get back together with Penta and they're going to do the Lucha Brothers thing, which will be amazing. Like, let's not discredit that. There's a small handful of people that I would love to see him go up against in NXT first. If we use the NXT NA Forbidden Door and we get him mixing it up with not only like, say, a Nathan Frazier, an Axiom, a Wesley, a Javon Evans, but then over onto the other side of things, mix it up with some of the X Division guys, your Ace Austins, your Trey Miguel's, your Zachary Wentz's, your I'm forgetting somebody, but man, I know the most direct path is put the Lucha Brothers back together, but we've had Penta on his own in WWE. Let's do a little bit of Phoenix on his own in WWE, and then let them come back together. That's my suggestion. It is what it is. I'll be happy to have him there regardless. I'm sure he'll be happy to be wrestling in full buildings, and everybody will win. And Aleister Black will come and do creepy shit. And the people that like to get on X and denigrate creepy shit can suck my ball sack.
And see, that's the thing. When they don't do it to a point where it exceeded anybody. Like the Wyatt family six, the Wyatt six showing up and doing what they did was never anything like, too crazy or crass or too evil. Like, it was like, they're on this perfect trajectory.
I think there is a happy medium between, and this is 3 very different groups, but Judgment Day, Wyatt 6, House of Black. I think there's a happy medium in there somewhere.
No, you're absolutely right.
And I think you team, at least for a little bit, because I really want to see it, team Aleister Black with Karrion Kross. And I think you can have the sarcasm, the snarky attitude, whatever, along with the presentation that Karrion Kross had, and then you've got Aleister Black, who's got a little bit of that dark side to him, but then he gets in the ring and he's more of like an MMA guy, not necessarily playing a monster. Eventually, we bring back Buddy Matthews
but the point is, even when you had the Wyatt Six show up and they killed people, like, it still wasn't too far because there's ways to explain and do everything. Yeah. Like, they just beat the shit out of each other. They didn't.
Oh my God! They shot friggin' what's his name? Chad Gable in the head. He just came back next week. That's how dumb WWE is.
With a Band-Aid on his head.
Yeah, because he wasn't shot. Idiots. Yes. They haven't shot anybody.
They needed
in
people
WWE.
to go ahead and say that he was okay. That had to be confirmed.
They haven't shot anybody in WWE since friggin' Austin had the little flag gun with Vince and made him piss his pants. McMahon 316 says, "I just pissed my pants." Anyways, Javon's got to win this one, right?
It seems like it. I mean, is there any other way?
Not really. Unless they do a wild swing like Ethan Page is leading these 4 new guys.
Yeah, like if this was Cedric coming and getting the win, and then Javon came in, like I could see Cedric losing, but then Javon coming in and getting the, but that's not what this is.
Aw, Cedric.
Yeah, so there's no way really to have this without it being what it is, and that's revenge.
I think maybe not during the match, but maybe if there's any fallout after the match, we see a Ricky Saints appearance. Because Ricky Saints is the big new name.
Something's going down, my friend.
Something's going down, but I think being in a place like MSG, you want to show the brand new, most recent headlining guy you just picked up.
Yeah.
And it really must be nice for him just to be like presented properly and treated
as
like
an actual superstar. Yes.
Not told to stay home and we're not going to let you go either. Just
no,
the prison cuffs are off. It's really nice.
You're being told that we're going to use you and book you every week, and you're going to matter. Oh my goodness, what is that?
Penta.
People are upset saying WWE fans are bad because somebody filmed Penta walking from his car into the arena, so now people know what he looks like.
Okay.
And in the 6 years almost he was with an AEW, that never happened. So does that mean AEW fans are better than WWE fans, or does that just mean people are more excited about him and care about who he is and he's a bigger star?
I think it's both. I think there's people that are excited enough to do that, but there's also people that are stupid enough to not know not to do that.
Yes.
Like, I think there's both sides of the coin. And I let's not pretend that there's not assholes in every wrestling show.
Exactly.
Like I said, we talked about the Anthem thing that happened at Chamber. Some of the, like, boo somebody, I guess, you still sound like a dick. Some of the horrendous shit that people were shouting at a woman that wasn't even a wrestler who was hired to do a job to come and sing to start the show. Like, nobody's innocent. No group doesn't have assholes.
No,
that's why when out in the real world, not going to get too political with this, but I'm just saying, you can't advocate for any one group ever, because there's not a single group out there that doesn't have assholes in it.
Exactly, my friend.
And to pretend that if you're pretending that your group is the one that doesn't have assholes in it, then your group probably has the most assholes in it.
Exactly, you're probably the one that's the standout.
I'm just saying, like, I'm from Canada, we're not all nice. I'm just saying.
I don't know what that's all about.
Oh, you did the thing. Anyways, gonna do a little bit of a spoiler warning here because there's kind of spoilery stuff we're gonna talk about. We're gonna be talking about Julia versus Stephanie. This is the one time I'll probably actually be able to say this. There's a couple of spoilery news biddy things we're gonna talk about. If you want to fast forward, a couple of minutes while we talk about that, guys. I won't hold it against you. Julia, Stephanie, title versus title. Somebody's going home with all the gold. Every news site, dirt sheet, whatever you want to say, seems to be hinting at that this match was fast-tracked. It was supposed to happen at Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. It's happening now because Julia needs time off because she's dealing with some nagging injuries. I don't know the specifics of it because I think when you start looking for specifics, that's kind of gross.
Yeah. But she's been dealing with something, so that's why they moved this match up from happening at Stand and Deliver. And
so it's not really something we can preview because it's kind of written on the wall what's going to happen.
Yeah, it seems like. Well, you know what? People are saying that it still might be a possibility that no one wins. It gets broken up.
That could be true.
You know, we get obviously Jade Cargill, coming down and kicking it. No, we get Jordan Grace coming through, and she finally goes ahead.
You know what would be funny? Something like that. You make that joke, right?
Yeah.
Because NXT is on such a high right now, especially with the women's division. And everything makes sense, and everything's connected, and everything has a story that leads to this, to lead to that, to make something make sense, to make something else make sense. I'm kind of ready for something to happen that doesn't make any sense.
You and me both.
So something,
like just what?
So something like a Jade Cargill coming in and doing a Kevin Nash, doing a I'll just go down and stick the winner.
Yes.
Jade Cargill for no reason at all. I mean, it's going to be Stephanie. Let's be real for a second.
Yes, we know Stephanie's winning here, and that's all there is to it. It really limits discussion.
And that's it's nothing bad against her. There's an argument to be made.
I thought Stephanie would have won regardless, honestly. Even if we didn't have the injury, I think they have, because Stephanie's going to be there longer.
Maybe.
And I also feel like Julia's going to kind of be fast-tracked to the main roster sooner. And Stephanie,
the thing about it is,
because of who they made champ and who they made which champ. So I feel like the mid-card one is going to stay a little bit longer because she still has to win the big belt here and then defend the other title. So I think Julia will be up sooner than later, especially with the injury going on.
As well, though, is Julia came first. So she was the one that kicked the door in for herself and Stephanie and Delta going on to become Zarya. But Julia was kind of one of those, she's got a little bit of an extravagant, ring entrance attire and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's more production and, ambiance and all that sort of thing in Stephanie Vacour's entrance, just because of the kind of character that she is.
Yes, and I like seeing Bully Ray have to wear the horns and on After Dark.
You said, I didn't see that interview yet, but yeah.
Her English is improving.
Yeah.
I didn't see the interview. I only saw the little clip on Twitter of her giving him the horns to wear, which was funny.
Nice.
But she's into her character, and like she said, being the whatever she says in Spanish, but the prima devil, whatever, it works.
I think it's La Primera.
Yeah, she's embodying exactly that, and she's just suiting the role perfectly.
Yeah.
And you can get heel out of her, face out of her. There's a lot of things that we can take away, but all of it's good. Stephanie in the ring has been a pure fucking joy. She makes everyone look great. Think of all the talent she's worked with so far and how she's elevated every single one.
I like when she pulls off the skull fucking finale.
Absolutely.
And so does Booker T, apparently.
Can't blame him either, You know
what I find hilarious? And they announced this. I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but at the MSG show, they're going to have all the coaches there from LFG.
Yes.
And my initial reaction, because I'm a sarcastic asshole, is, well, yeah, of course you are. One of them's on commentary.
Of course they're going to be there, but yeah, to have them all there, that's great, including the Undertaker.
It'll be cool.
I like
Undertaker's cool. It's not cool to like the Undertaker anymore because he doesn't believe what I believe. Fuck off. There is something to be said about everything Mickie James has done in WWE in the past little while has been kind of behind the scenes type stuff. It'll be cool to see her on WWE TV again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think the last time we saw her was when she was the Impact champion and she made her cameo in
the
Rumble 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think it was.
Because she hasn't had a match in WWE.
Yeah, because last year was Jordan Grace's surprise entry, and then
and then this year she doubled down on it.
Yeah.
But she also did her Last Outlaw, Last Run thing in TNA. So
yeah,
I haven't seen her wrestle in a minute, but so that'll be cool.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
I think it'll just be a stand and wave thing for guys like Taker and Bully and whatever. But you know what? Hey, Mickie James could go down and stick the winner. Anyways, my point being with the Jade Cargill thing that you actually brought up, it would be a ruction for somebody from the main roster like Jade Cargill, who's already a headline because she just came back. She's striking back at her former friends and whatnot because of everything that's going to be leading into WrestleMania. So her coming down and watching this match and seeing Stephanie Vacour hold up both titles and just like boot fucking her in the back of the head.
Yeah,
it would be
great.
Like I said, it wouldn't make any sense, but we're about due for something spontaneous
Crazy.
that doesn't make any sense. So I'd really like to see it. Unfortunate what's
with
going on with Julia. There is a mild rumor out there that the stories of her injury are fabricated.
And with the way WWE is going nowadays,
to throw everybody off the scent. And you know what? It's the
if it leads,
it's the 2025 version of being worked, if that's the case.
And if it leads to her having a match against Jordynne Grace, and like I said, it turns into a triple threat, then you heard it here first.
Oh my God, prediction. Jordynne Grace and Jade Cargill. Two women that I would love to see face Rhea Ripley.
That's a triple threat.
Oh my God. No, here we go. Jade Cargill, Jordynne Grace, Zarya, Rhea Ripley.
Where's Bianca?
No.
Just
no.
Just no.
Everything's good right now, so I'm going to take that match for what it is. But there's still,
I think Stephanie wins here. You're in agreement.
And if you want to make it, if you want to make that a chamber, like the female version of big meaty men slapping man meat.
Yeah, that could work great.
Throw in Nia Jax and Piper Niven. God damn.
Yeah, that's a match.
God damn. So
it's definitely a match. That's the match.
It's kind of gross to preview this match because we kind of know what's going to happen. Stephanie Vacour is going to walk out with both belts, and she's going to look cool holding up two belts.
I don't know. I'm still not 100% sold on that. You're probably right. It seems like it, especially with the reports, but the reports with everything could be bullshit, and like you said, just trying to work us into a frenzy thinking like,
if it's a work thing, cool. Because here's the thing.
I hope it is, and I hope we get something more or that triple threat. I have a hard time imagining Stephanie's just going to cleanly win both belts.
Well, when they first announced the match, my initial reaction was going to be Jordynne Grace is going to smash both of them, and you get a triple threat match to stand and deliver. My primary, and I'm going to go back down to the human level for a second, if we find out that it's a work, the biggest headline for me that comes out of that is somebody that I thought was injured isn't actually injured, and isn't that
that's
awesome?
Great. Yeah, that's perfect. You know, that's a great way to feel. And
you know what else is awesome? Madison Square Garden. We're going to have some tag team match playa.
I don't know what match I'm looking forward to the most, because every time I say, ooh, I'm looking forward to this the most, we get to the next match.
Yeah. Hardy Boys and Frazier and Axiom is going to be a lot of fun. The fact that the historical side of it, of the TNA World Tag Team Championships being defended. On an NXT show, because
in the Garden.
They've at the Garden as well, but the crossover once again. Moose defended his X Division championship. Fraxium have been defending the NXT tag titles on TNA. The logical part of me says it's a good exhibition. Hardy's retain, status quo is maintained, but we still do history because they're TNA titles at an NXT show.
Yeah.
Maybe I would love to see, because they have to, we keep saying it, there has to be a title that crosses the line at some point, right?
Has to be.
So is there a fuck finish here, and we do a rematch at Stand and Deliver Oi 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 that's for both titles?
I know.
And then you're guaranteed for an interesting title story.
Well, we were supposed to get the Activision title versus the NXT title, and that was going to be because a lot of the show was going to be like title for title, I guess. And then I guess the plan changed last second because now we're having Jeff Hardy face Moose at Sacrifice, which I'm more a fan of than title for title, and have Moose lose his belt for Obafemi, you know? I think Obafemi has.
I saw Jeff Hardy's debut in TNA when he was the surprise opponent for AJ Styles, X Division champion.
Yes.
Recently, because they've been playing some old stuff on the TNA YouTube thing. So that would be a nice full circle thing for Jeff Hardy. The Obafemi Moose thing being title versus title, it's a little slanted because it's not like Moose is still their world champion and they're two big monsters with two world titles. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy in the titles, even though it's title versus title. Even it's the same as Stephanie and Julia.
Yeah.
But Obafemi and Moose, if Moose was still the world champion, put them both on the line, whatever the case may be. But if he's the X Division champion, which is cool. You know, X Division's about no limits, not about weight limits and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think marketing this one, like, the more I thought about it when we found out that it wasn't actually title for title, they're not equal competing titles.
No.
So there's a little bit of a slant to it. But Hardy Boys, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, going to be a lot of fun. The crowd loves the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys walking out there as representatives of TNA saying it's good to be home in WWE. Was something
astounding. Not what I expected.
Was a statement that was kind of something and nothing. People tried to blow it up on X. Oh, you see, the deal's not really working. They're just trying to bring everybody back. Because, yeah, the Hardy Boys didn't, like, establish themselves in WWE or anything.
Exactly.
Hardy Boys are slower because they're older. Who the fuck cares? I'm sorry. There is a certain point in wrestling where we can analyze it to death, and there's a certain point in wrestling. Who the fuck cares?
Well, I don't think they are slower, actually. I think that watching them in NXT, they're much faster than how they were, again, in AEW. Honest to God.
But what was the inspiration in AEW?
Yeah, at least here they're like, tag champs. And
you'd be dumb to say, and I'm the biggest Hardy mark you're going to find. You'd be dumb to say that, like, oh, this is the same Hardys from 20 years ago, because of course they're not.
Oh, of course not.
But, like, we don't want them to be. We want them to be the old veterans that know what it's like to do what Nathan Frazier and Axiom are doing. So instead of trying to do it too, they know how to counter it, or something like this, something like that. They have bulked up over their careers and whatever, so they're not as high flyer anymore, but they got some weight behind them. They can throw a shot, they can swing a chair if nobody's looking. Somebody can go through a table, and I'm sure there are a couple of ladders in Madison Square Garden. Oh my God, these guys that stand and deliver oi 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 in a ladder match for all the belts. Get one of those big WWE gold rings, but like a big wide one, so it's just like 4 belts hung across. And then you walk out, and it's like, oh, now the TNA champions are Jeff Hardy and Nathan Frazier, and the NXT champions are Matt Hardy and Axiom. Some bullshit nonsense, but like, it's the Hardys, man. Like, people love the Hardys, and people are angry. Somebody on another podcast that I'm not going to name, people that have been listening to my podcast for a long time know who I'm talking about, got angry at how over the Hardys are because the Hardys aren't supposed to be over.
Yeah, which is
Why are they over? Why do you like them? Stop it. Why? You like the Young Bucks, Michael.
Yeah, like where's the...
You like the knockoff. You like the Temu Hardy Boys.
Where's the proper comparison there, right?
I want the Rascals to show up. I want the Rascals to show up and take all the belts. Dude, the more I'm thinking about this, all the crossover, all the cool shit that happens in NXT and TNA, the fact that it's at Madison Square Garden, the fact that we're this close to stand and deliver oi oi oi, I want something fucked up to happen at this show.
Something's bound to happen.
I want something fucked up to happen. And Obafemi versus Moose. I mean, Moose leaving with the NXT Championship would be hilarious.
It would be crazy.
But
I think
it's a Mack truck situation.
Yeah.
Like, just 2 Mack trucks, and Obafemi retains.
Who'd you say for the tag titles?
I think the titles stay where they are.
I think so too. I think the Hardys are going to retain.
Yeah.
Only because it's only for the TNA titles, and I think there's a way they can do it where there's enough heat in the tag division where either something they could do it without ruining Fraxium completely.
Well, the other thing is as well, right? Is again, this is where dirt sheets kind of ruin it if you're paying attention to the wrong thing on the wrong day. If there wasn't so much talk about Nathan Frazier and Axiom being called up to the main roster sooner than later, if I somehow could think that, okay, these guys are staying in NXT for the long haul, then I could see them being the ones to bring those titles over. But if they're going to get called up, like, on the Raw after Mania or whatever, what are they going to do? They're going to hold the TNA titles for 6 weeks and then negate them, hand them over, like, vacated back to TNA, because not a whole lot of TNA crossover happens on the main roster, which is fine. It's an NXT TNA thing.
Yeah.
I think if they're getting called up as soon as what the rumors are, I think you get into a little bit of messy storytelling there. Not that you couldn't pull it out, but I think it would be a little cleaner if we knew they were hanging out a bit longer, because let alone losing the TNA titles, you got to decide what you're doing with the NXT tag titles.
Exactly. So
now, if you decide to give the NXT titles to the Hardys, I'm just gonna pop, because I don't care that it doesn't make sense.
No doubt, and I mean it works, so that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing.
I think Obafemi's gonna kill Moose. I think. In what I'm assuming is the main event.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I mean I think the opener will be Grayson Perez.
Yep.
Then it'll be the tag match.
Maybe.
Then it'll be Javon, Oba, and then the women's.
You know what?
We might have the women's last.
Yeah, we might have the women's last because an amalgamation of, or not an amalgamation, but somebody walking out with 2 belts, just on like stature
That
alone.
feels bigger in some
it's
way.
bigger, and it is an NXT story finishing off the NXT show rather than an NXT TNA story.
Yeah.
I think, like, you think Hardys throughout their career were, because they were so exciting and because the crowd loved them, they were typically the first match of the night. Nathan Frazier and Axiom kind of have that same energy. I wouldn't mind if the tag titles started the show.
I wouldn't either. That'd be a strong choice.
Throw Oba and Moose in the semi-main, and even if it is a send-off for Julia for a while, it would be nice to let her have the main event. Stephanie Vacour could have a cool double title moment, and if you're going to have somebody crazy like a Jordan Grace or like we've suggested Jade Cargill out of nowhere, some sort of like creepy, freaky, oh my god, nobody knew this was going to happen thing.
Yeah.
Do it at the end of that match, and then you've got a cliffhanger. And of all the companies, and I'm saying like Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Rampage, whatever, NXT for a long time have been pretty much the best at doing the cliffhanger thing.
Yeah, they've done it for a while now, and they've been excellent at it.
Yeah, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm very excited. Like you said, this is bigger than Vengeance Day. It's got more stakes. It builds everything directly into Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. Mm-hmm. They're really doing a great thing here. Like Revolution, I'm looking at for Sunday. Their main match, as you said, 2 stars that we should like. We have no interest in. Then they got Takeshita and Omega. That'll probably be a fun match to watch. But there's no, like, doubt Kenny's going to win, and it's kind of just a, again, foregone conclusion. Tony and Mariah, I really don't care much for. Brody and Okada, that's nothing. I have no desire to watch Mercedes do anything. The Hurt Syndicate taking on the Outrunners, Kyle and Ospreay in a steel cage will probably be good, and then Ricochet and Swerve, and MJF and Hangman. Really, the big
scissors on a pole match.
Yeah, we got Big Boom AJ returning. Okay, he's teaming up with Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe to take on the MXM Collection and Johnny TV.
I'm going to ask a really stupid question right now.
Yeah.
Didn't they start This Is My Last Year thing with Jeff Jarrett, and he was supposed to be taking on MJF, and that was supposed to be some gigantic thing?
And then they just fizzled out with it.
Emo Cowboy has come back, and Emo Cowboy gets what Emo Cowboy wants.
Basically, yeah. Jeff got, eventually just taken down by MJF, and that was all there was to it.
Well, that's
it all
wet
just
fart
kind
in
of
church.
Yeah, it all fell to the wayside and fell apart.
Hangman Page really is the Mercedes Moné of the men's division. Like, I can't. I got no energy for this. We're talking about a cool NXT show that's coming up. I don't want to drag it down with AEW talk. We'll do that on Sunday. It'll probably be an abridged version because I'll have to go to work the next day. But we will talk about whatever happens. I might pop up I said it to you before. I might pop up for 5 seconds and say this show can suck my scrot. And be like, Jake, have a good stream.
Exactly. Hey, we don't know what's going to happen on Sunday, but
this is going to be
it doesn't have the same pull as their developmental program does.
Yeah.
That's the point that I'm pointing out. That's what.
Hey, they're competing with their developmental now.
Yes, exactly.
So, quick rundown for the card itself. Jordan over Roxanne. Javon over Ethan. Obviously, we know what's going on with Stephanie and Julia. I'm saying the Hardy Boys retain, and so does Obafemi, but hey, look at all these belts we've got flying around today. It's going to be a lot of fun. The MSG thing does add to it as well. You're in Madison Square Garden. I don't care if it's the theater. It's still Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
If you can make it in the Garden, you can make it anywhere. Jake, tell them where to find you.
You can find me over on the YouTube, Jake.com. That's right. I got my own website now. It's youtube.com/Jake DeMarco or Countdown Ended. Someday I'll get that URL back. It'll be Jake.com again, my friend. But until then, you can go ahead and hit me up on Twitter/X at Countdown Ended as well. And you can find me here on the State of Wrestling and everything that we do on Into Somewhere.
And the next time we will be on here, I believe, is next week to preview Sacrifice, which looks like a pretty fun card.
Yeah, we'll cover all the happenings.
7 matches already announced, and more to come, I'm sure.
Exactly. We'll cover all the happenings on, obviously, that went down on Roadblock and the fallout from that as well. So everybody's going to want to tune in. And any big announcements that happened with Cody and this SmackDown and everything that happens on Raw, too. So
we'll have to get in there quick with, did anything really, really big happen at Roadblock? Also, Sacrifice in 2 days.
Yes, indeed.
All right, and you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Super Sexy Jake DeMarco. This has been your preview for mostly NXT Roadblocks with a little bit of TNA thrown in. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Sexy Jake are tagging out. Bye, guys.
Woo!